Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another edition of our story. My name is Omulangira Karema, and tonight we are humbled to be having Dr. Kojo Abrode. Dr. Kojo Abrode is a development expert, and when it comes to issues of development, issues of unity, issues of Africanism, he is the right person. And tonight we are going to talk more about African unity. What does it mean to get united? Can it be possible? Ever since it was declared by our leaders in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, has it ever been achieved? If not so, what can we do to achieve unity as Africa? Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Good to be here again.
Yeah, sure. First of all, we're talking about Africa. We're talking about a united Africa. What does it take to have a united Africa?
First, let's try to understand what Africa is. Africa is a continent, just like Europe, just like Asia. It's just one of the continents. And it has people who come from this continent, who are Africans.
Africans, yes.
So I think this conversation is going to be about the continent and its people.
Continent, yeah, sure. Because that is Africa anyway.
Exactly.
Okay.
When we are talking about Africa, we should look at the continent and its people.
Last time you were here, you talked about Africa not being united. Then it's high time to tell us what we need to get a united Africa. The floor is yours, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you. You see, Africa is one. And it has always been one before colonization. Okay?
Yeah.
But after colonization, from the time of colonization through to the post-colonial era in which we find ourselves today, there has been a lot of confusion.
Confusion?
Yeah. As far as the issues of the continent are concerned. The continent, remember, was the scramble for Africa in the Berlin Conference divided this continent among European nations.
1884.
In 1884 at the Berlin Conference.
Yeah.
When that happened, it started a new trend, a new trajectory for the whole of the continent and its people. And the effects of colonization have brought divisions among us as African people.
So at first we were united.
At first there was just one boundary.
Okay.
Yeah, there were no colonial boundaries. My tribe, you find us in Eastern Ghana, in Togo, in Benin, and in Western Nigeria.
Okay.
Okay. And we were one. But today we find ourselves in 4 countries.
Yes, yes.
You do you think that has very serious implications for our development? It does, as a people.
How does it affect development?
You see, because of colonization, I'll give you one example. It is only in Africa that you find those people, those things called countries, not having people coming from the same place speaking the same language. Part of my tribe speak English, those of us in Ghana and in Nigeria. But those in Benin and Togo, French colonies, speak French.
Yet you're one people.
We speak the same language. We eat the same food, same culture, same. I'm from the Ewe tribe. And we speak the same language. We eat the same food, same music, same drumming. Our culture is the same. But colonization put us into 4 different colonies.
Colonies, yeah, yeah.
I get it. And I think we should even stop referring to what we have as countries, because they are colonies. The colonial arrangements are still there. They have not changed.
So what name would you like to replace it with?
Colonies. They are colonies.
Instead of saying Uganda as a country,
a colony.
We say Uganda as a colony.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
Okay.
That makes more sense. We are colonies. The colonial arrangements have not left us. Now, bringing all that into the issues of our development. We cannot develop if we remain in these colonies. It will not work.
So
There
first
is no way
you get out
Africa-
of the colonies. How are we going to do that?
No, because of the understanding of the Kwame Nkrumah's knowing the implications of maintaining these colonial arrangements, they
Yeah.
decided to put up the Organization of African Unity in 1963.
Yes.
And the purpose was to deal with issues of colonization and all the colonial arrangements. And their main role was to unite the continent.
But ever since that time,
But ever since that time, today we have an African Union which has an Agenda 63, 100 years from 1963 to 2063, to bring this continent together. And it doesn't make sense.
Is that too long for you? Because this is a continent which is big.
No, what are they supposed to do? To unite the continent. If you look at their mandate, the first statement is to defend the sovereignty of Africa. What is sovereignty, by the way?
Control, you know.
No, sovereignty
So it's
basically
control.
Started with the Westphalia peace agreement, the peace treaty, which ended a 30-year war in Europe. You know, and there were two wars at the same time. One was on for 30 years, and the other one was for 10 years. And they came up and said, look here, there is need for different states to respect the integrity, the territorial integrity of other states. So one of the principles are non-interference.
Okay.
That no one or no organization should interfere in the internal affairs
of the other.
But how much interference do we have in Africa today? Are you getting me?
Yes. Mostly by outsiders.
No, interference always comes from outside. Interference comes from outside. Why are we not realizing that authority to have control over our internal, state issues? Why?
So what can we do first with, to bring that together, to be united? What is the first step?
I think,
after declaration, that is our agenda.
Yeah, the thing is, the individual colonies cannot do anything. So we needed a central organization to drive the unity of Africa. And we had the Organization of African Unity.
Yes.
And even their name speaks to their mandate. Organize Africa into a united place. Bring everything in Africa into one space.
It's now African Union now.
No, there's nothing like African Union, my brother. There's nothing like African Union.
The name was changed.
From Organization of African Unity.
Yes.
Yeah, the organization should have ended for a union to be created. Have we created a union?
Not yet.
We haven't created a union. So what are we calling the African Union? The European Union was created and named the European Union. The Organization for Unity has not been done. How do you have a union? It doesn't make sense. And I think we got it wrong just to accept that we have an African Union, which is sitting at where the Organization of African Union, Unity, is supposed to be sitting.
Addis Ababa.
In Addis Ababa. Yeah. What are they doing? They're supposed to organize our unity. That has not been done.
So that is now where we are right now.
There are two things there.
Where can we start from?
They should do what they are supposed to do.
What is that?
To come up and say, yes, we have this roadmap. By this time, we are going to have one border.
One border.
By this time, we should have unified our economy and have one currency.
One currency.
We should have unified our army, our military, and have one military with a serious military-industrial complex. Because we should stop buying arms from anybody.
Okay.
You get the point?
Yes.
We should say by this time, they should give us an agenda.
An agenda.
Yeah, a roadmap to unifying our systems.
Now let's start with...
We need to have one passport.
Yes, let's start with banning the boundaries, Let's say, for example, you said Uganda as a colony, it borders Kenya, borders Tanzania. So You say those boundaries should be removed at first.
The boundaries are not there. You go to Busia and see whether you see any line there.
Administratively, they are there.
Yeah, they are just in our minds. So we can do a lot of things without considering, letting the boundaries influence our choices.
Okay.
Are you getting the point?
I get you now.
We are free.
So what do we need? What do you need to do that? Just to forego the boundaries.
For me, I think that for administrative purposes, we just need to modernize what we have and make sure that it doesn't work against us. The boundary should not stop goods and services from moving from one point to another.
Oh.
Why do I need a visa to move from one, state? I still call them colonies until we get united, then we can change that and rename them actually. Because the names that were given to these colonies themselves have a question mark. Okay, we shall come to that. But what we need to do basically is to make sure that we have an integration plan from the African Union to say in the next 5 years, this is how we are going to move to get this continent united.
Without borders.
The whole continent has failed to unite. The diaspora has created a state.
What do you mean?
The International African Diaspora State, something like that.
Where is it based?
Reading about it.
Where is it based?
I think the Prime Minister lives in the US.
Do you already have a Prime Minister?
Yeah, it's a state.
So they have a state within a state?
They have a state
within a state?
On Earth.
On Earth?
Yeah.
No, but United States, okay, there is United States already. Now they've
This is the state of the African diaspora.
But
so all Africans in the diaspora have formed a state.
A state?
Where they can plan. Whether you are in the UK, you are in Dominican Republic, you are in Cuba, wherever you are as an African, you belong to that state. But those of us in the homeland have failed.
So where's their headquarters?
I'll have to do a bit more of research. It's just something that popped up in one of my readings, and I found out that the diaspora has created a state. But I'm going to do more research on that and get you more facts.
So getting back to the boundaries, the borders.
Yeah.
Do you mean this is possible? For example, if you have goods in Uganda, you want to cross to Kenya. You have goods in Ghana, you have to cross to Nigeria. So what you're proposing is we even get the taxes. We get rid of the taxes, the checking. Is that what you mean?
If you are one, why do you tax yourself?
Because you have to develop anyway. You need taxes.
Yeah, we don't need taxes to develop Africa, my brother. We are just getting it wrong. We don't need taxes. We have enough resources to create all we have all the resources to create that wealth.
That we need individual contributions.
The individual contribution should not be the primary aim, should not be the primary focus. The primary focus is that Africans must know that this is the richest continent. The human beings are very intelligent, very smart, very industrious, creative. You don't buy toys for African children. You and I never got toys from the shops. Yeah. If we want to play with our friends, we create and actually produce what we need to play with. After that, we throw it away.
We go to the plantation, get something, then you play.
Exactly. The next time we want to play, we choose which game, and we create what we need. African children are not stupid. That is the level of our intelligence.
They call it development.
What do they call development?
The basics of not even playing with the old stuff. Old stuff. How can you go to the plantation, get something, make a doll, and then play with it? How can you play the soil?
Who taught you
that? That is what they call
it. It's the colonial definition of development. They call it civilization sometimes, but it is business.
Business.
Yeah, you have to find money to buy that dolly for your girl to play with.
For go yours, then.
But when you and I were playing when we were young, there was no need for money. It is business. Everybody who comes to Africa comes not because of any social development or anything. They come to do business.
Business.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, yeah.
They have turned Africa into a market. where they must produce anything and everything.
So you talked about the move of boundaries, where there is free movement of goods
And services.
and services.
Yeah.
Are you now calling for like a common passport?
Africans need one passport. Why should Africans have different passports? You tell me. You are an African. And when we move around, we introduce ourselves with the colonial descriptions. If I ask you where you come from, you tell me you are Ugandan, right?
Yeah.
But I tell everybody I'm an African because I am an African before Uganda was created. And if all Africans know that and start referring to ourselves as Africans.
We are Africans.
Yeah,
we are
that would be a
you
very
can't
big...
describe yourself by tribe, by what?
No, not tribe, not anything, because that's where you come from. So you are an African. You are nothing else but an African.
So what does it take to
whoever you
get
meet, wherever you introduce yourself, and people want to know where you come from, maybe they are colorblind, because once you see an African, you don't need to ask where they come from. But if they make a mistake and ask you where you come from, emphatically say you are an African, because that is what you are.
What does it take to have a common passport?
The African Union's responsibility.
Yes, I know that, but what does it take?
I said in the beginning, they give us a roadmap, an agenda, and engage, you know, with technical people like us to support their work and guide them and help them. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
They need to have a clear roadmap to say, okay, which one is the priority? And we say our priority is to create the African state. Are you getting the point?
Yes.
Because without that, and establish our sovereignty, avoid any form of interference from the UN, from the IMF, from the World Bank, from anybody, and focus on our continent and the resources that we have, and begin to develop the human capacity to transform these resources into wealth. That is our that should be our development trajectory. Because anything you do with external influence or interference or interventions takes away your sovereignty. And without sovereignty, you're not a state. You don't have that authority to control, to manage the integrity of your state. You're not sovereign.
So you have a common border, common boundary. You've removed all the other boundaries. You've gotten one passport, a common passport. Now you need money to do business because you're transacting anyway.
Yeah.
So
we shall do business with
that is calling for a common currency.
Yeah, exactly.
How can that be achieved?
It's just like I said before. All these things, once you put them in a program with a clear way forward, step by step, according to a time frame, the time comes you get it done. You just say from today onwards, Africa has one boundary.
That is declaration.
Then we wait, declaration. Then we wait for the time for one passport. We say, since we are one country, one state, we need one passport, one immigration system. And they must be on the borders, on the oceans and...
On the oceans?
Yeah, of
going
course.
Outside, going outside.
And the airports, when they see people who don't look like us, they ask them what they are coming to do from here. Are you getting my point?
Yes. Now,
but for you and I to move within the continent, we don't need any permission from anyone.
I'm looking at the issue of currency as something which is a little bit disturbing.
How?
Because right now, of course, there is business being done.
Yeah.
And every colony, African colony, has its own currency.
Yeah.
So are you going to say from today onwards, we've banned your currency and let's use this common?
All currencies. And we create one currency. ECOWAS has been trying to establish the ECO.
The ECO?
Yeah, because
they don't... West Africa?
Yeah, because they have lost their sovereignty. It has not happened. All of us in West Africa are supposed to use one currency.
The ECO.
Which is named the ECO. But why is it not coming up? Because of external interference. Are you getting me? Just because of external interference. What does that external interference mean to us? It means we have lost our sovereignty.
How did they create that ECO?
No, it's just a matter of the central bank sitting together and say, yes, we need a common currency, and this will be its form. It should be called this, and this will be its basic value. Are you getting the point?
Yes, yes.
Now we are all going to cede our currencies for the eco, but just to print the eco and implement, the World Bank doesn't want to see that.
So how are you going to back our money with?
We have enough gold to back our currency with. If Africa chooses to have one currency, we have enough gold in Africa to back our currency. And I can assure you that the African currency will be the strongest. Because the British pound is backed by gold from Africa. Britain doesn't have a gold mine. Are you getting the point?
Yes.
The whole of Europe, the euro, whatever is backing the euro is from here. And we still have more than enough to back our currency. Then we can build a strong economy. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Let's stop lamenting and begin to look at the realities of our situation.
The East African community should borrow a reef from ECOWAS?
No, we don't need to waste time on this.
SADC?
We don't need to waste time going through all those things. All the creation of Kwame Nkrumah and Co. did not propose the creation of ECOWAS, SADC. These are external, influenced choices.
The likes of East African community, likes of SADC.
Of course.
Oh, how is that? How is that?
No. What is wrong if instead of SADC and ECOWAS and East Africa, Kwame Nkrumah never talked about, in those days they never talked about ECOWAS, they never talked about East African community, they never talked about SADC.
They wanted things the easy way.
They just said African unity, and it is clear. They did not say first we unite as regions, then that is just complete waste of time.
I think that was the disagreement actually that came up, during one of the conferences there.
I agree with you.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah wanted
the
quick one. The whole continent get united.
Exactly.
Other leaders wanted to say, they say no, it has to be gradual.
Louis, where are they getting that from? And which one makes more sense? We want to unite the continent.
Now.
And we can get up and unite it now. Why do we have to go through families unite, then villages unite, then...
we were already united.
We just have to move and unite this continent. European Union never first created,
So who was behind that, the integrationist thing? Like East Africa forming its own community, SADC, ECOWAS. Who was behind that?
Do you know that recently Israel wanted to sit in the African Union meetings?
Israel?
Yeah, and they were chased.
And do what there?
Yeah, you get the point. Now you have UN sitting in African Union meetings, you have European Union sitting.
They are the funders.
No, why do you need funds from these people? People who have survived on you, who developed their homelands because of your resources. Why should they sit in your meetings?
They miss education.
No, why should they? What is the reason? Do you also sit in their meetings? We don't sit in their meetings.
I heard they are now inviting us as observers.
Not to observe what?
What are
Let us finish with our homework, establish our status. Then we will choose whether to go and observe or just continue doing our own things. Why are we so interested in outsiders and not interested in ourselves?
Now, after the currency, I do believe that for a country or for countries or colonies to get together, they have to be with a common army.
Yeah.
A common army.
Yeah.
You talked about that.
Yeah.
One army.
Yeah.
I'm looking at an African army.
Yeah.
Is that possible, really?
Yeah, everything is possible.
How?
If Europe and America combine to form NATO, why should we say that it is not possible?
So Africa should have...
we need one army, not to should have. We need to unify our military. We need to unify all our systems.
What does it take?
We were here when Gaddafi was attacked, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
If we had a unified army, you think NATO could have done what they did? You think it would just be a walkover? Would have targeted them, would have gone back. Fighting is fighting. You get the point. Fighting is not one-sided. If you attack me, I must defend myself. But what do we have to defend ourselves? We are not even united. So they can go to any enclave. Now there's the Boers living in the Orange State in South Africa agitating that they should give them a state. Is it their land? They want to have their own country. Is it their homeland?
The Worker Alliance is
no. The question is it their land?
Now they're part, they're part of the government. They formed in fact, they formed what you call the
We have allowed them to live in our homeland. and we are not chasing them. Why are you asking for that authority to own and control our land and establish your government?
So they want a state within a state.
Yeah, no, a state which will be there but not part of South Africa.
Not part of South Africa?
No, then NATO...
Yet it's in South Africa?
Yeah, no, then the South Africa has a new boundary. You know. So that is how low our sovereignty has gone. Are you getting me? That anybody can walk in and choose what to do. But that must stop. We need serious leaders.
Can we have a common army in situations like this where we cannot even sit down and agree as what you call colonies of Africa?
The purpose of the colony is not about the African people. When they were creating those boundaries, they were about resources. Are you getting me?
Yes.
And in Europe's agenda, they knew very well that these colonies will never work. They can never administer each other. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
They knew that it is an instrument that will keep the African people very weak, so they can continue to have domination, over our resources. Everything is about our resources, brother.
We have
everything
resources.
Is about our resources.
We are rich. That's the reason why we are suffering.
We are not suffering. We are just not thinking enough.
That is what I'm calling
suffering.
Are not.
No, we are not. I don't think we are suffering. We are victims. Okay, I would say we are victims of our own choice not to care about what other people are doing to us. We don't give a damn. We are just there, and it has turned against us. Are you getting me? When Burkina Faso told the French to leave their country, are they still there?
No.
Yeah. So is the French influence still there?
By the way, when you talk about Burkina Faso.
No, is the French influence still there?
No.
No. When the ambassador said he would not go.
But are we safe in that regard, by the way?
Safe from what? Wait. Safe from what?
From the foreign intervention.
But the interventions are ongoing. It's always there.
So the leadership of Burkina Faso, should they worry?
They are not worried. They just know the truth.
Because what happened to the straight man? The upright man.
Who is the upright man?
The upright man.
Who is the upright
Who was the leader of Burkina Faso?
The one they kicked out.
Yes. Before after independence, we had Thomas Sankara.
Thomas Sankara came in at a certain point.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
this is the spirit of Thomas Sankara.
That is why I'm saying that is the leadership of Burkina Faso worried.
The things that they did to Kwame Nkrumah and co in those days, they cannot do them today.
Sure.
Yeah, they can. You look at what is happening in Kenya. Yeah? Those times are gone. Most Africans are beginning to ask questions. Why? Are you getting me? Most Africans, especially the young generation, are asking questions. Why? And all Africans must begin to ask why. Do we have so much resources, yet we are not seeing any development? Why is it that we are sending our children to school and they come out and they can't do anything with the knowledge they have? Why is it that we are not thinking about our resources in any conversation? We don't discuss what we have anywhere. Why? Why don't we have our own African media, which will also project our perceptions?
Afrocentric.
An African thing. Our own TV, our own media, complete media setup. Why don't we have it? Why? Why are we all running after CNN and Al Jazeera and BBC? Why can't we? What does it take the African Union to set up an African television station? Anyway, by the way, the way they are now, the way they think, the kind of conversations they have, and the things they do, even if they create that TV station or that media, it will just be projecting their master's commands.
It will be controlled still.
Yeah.
Because we're not yet independent.
We should, you see, for you to have to have your sovereignty in place, there should be, the first principle is that there should be no external influence from any state or any organization. Influence, international relations are there. Okay, we shall relate to other nations. But first we must stand on our own feet to be able to relate with anybody.
Okay.
But we have lost our limbs. We are crushed. We are not standing bold and firm to speak to the UN. You go to the UN General Assembly. When the American president is speaking, everybody is present.
The place is full to capacity.
Full to capacity.
Yeah.
When an African president is speaking, the place is empty. What does that mean to us?
Nobody wants to listen what we're
No,
saying.
why should it be like that? Why are we not reasoning these things? Are you getting me?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you go back. You have 54 African presidents, right? And one president will invite all of them to come and sit before him. And they are both presidents. They are both presidents of sovereign states.
Russia-Africa Summit.
US-Africa Summit.
Yes.
Italy. Italian Prime Minister calling all African presidents to come and sit before her. I think there's something wrong with our leadership. It is sad.
To have
You see,
United Africa.
let me give you one other thing. Go to any country or any state on earth where Africans must have representation, African missions. In Switzerland, there are 54. In London, there are 54. Embassies and consulates and high commissions.
Yeah.
You go to Finland, the same. Every small space. Do you know,
we have 54 representatives.
If you multiply all of that by the number of countries where we have foreign missions, you see how many hundreds of thousands of staff, and check the budget. Why can't the African Union, because we don't have a union, so we can't send a representative. But Africa should only have one mission in the US.
In the US.
One in Europe. Okay? One mission. And we don't spend money. We don't waste money. But because we have a very weak continental institution, which I think is weak because they have refused to think for themselves. They have refused to be African-centric. They wake up in the morning, they think about the continent. When they meet in their meetings, they discuss the continent. When they are taking actions and planning, they plan for the continent. They are not doing that. They prefer to have Israel as an observer in African Union meetings.
Yes.
Then you have the UN. Then you have European Union. Do you also sit in their meetings? If you don't, why should they sit in yours? Are you getting my point?
Yes.
As if, for me, and all these things are factors that determine our development. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Those theories of development propounded by Adam Smith and co in the 1700s are no more relevant.
For Africa to develop, we need one leader. One leader.
Yeah.
Who could that be?
No, we just have to agree first, because we have not yet even agreed. So we can't start looking for who. People must present themselves and tell us how they will lead us. And then we can choose them. There should be a whole system designed for selecting that one person. Today we have the African Commission, High Commission chairperson. How did he get there? Maybe it was by application and interview and then said, today you are the African. No, but it must, the what they call popular sovereignty must come from the consensus of the citizens. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
Because you are not going to lead goats. You are going to lead human beings.
Yeah.
And you need their consent. Are you getting the point? So we can design our own structure.
If you're talking about
You
United
see, the African
Africa,
Union is supposed to basically design structures to move us from where we are to where
we want to
they
go.
are supposed to take us Their first mandate, the opening statement of their mandate, is to protect the sovereignty of Africa. What it means is that there should be no interference in the issues of this continent, or how we lead ourselves and what we do with our resources. The kind of educational system we must have should not be determined by anyone. The kind of health system, whether we want to build on what was there before colonization, which is herbal medicine. My grandmother gave birth to 10 children without cesarean. How did they do it? Why don't we research that?
Is it documented anywhere?
We were not documenting things. We were going by oral tradition.
Oral tradition.
Your great-grandfather tells your grandfather tells your father tells you. But now that we can document, it is good for us to start documenting them.
Okay.
That's
a call.
I was just telling my friend I came with that this tree you see there, in my place where I come from, the back of that tree, if you take it off and boil it in palm nuts, fresh palm nuts, and pound it, sieve it, and use the sap to prepare soup. That is what they prepare for women who have just given birth in where I come from.
Sure.
And this tree you see there, and it cleans the whole system. I get it?
Yeah, yes.
I had an injection and I had an abscess. My auntie came and said, look here, why are you suffering? Ask my brothers, why are you letting the boy suffer like that? She took me, we went and got the roots of a plant, just smashed it and put it on the abscess. And she said, you put something tight on it, put a plastic thing, and wear something tight. And I put on my swimming pants, which was tied to hold it. Now what happened? In 48 hours, the pain and the swelling disappeared. When I went back to my doctor to check, he was like, what did you do? And when he got an abscess, he started looking for me. So why should we throw all that away?
Yes.
Our indigenous knowledge.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Why are we not interested in our indigenous knowledge? Why are we not interested in our indigenous ways of doing things?
Now that brings me to another point.
Before that, I asked somebody in a meeting a few days ago, why would you spray the food you are going to eat with chemicals, which have clear instructions that you must cover your nose,
why spray?
Cover your mouth, wear glasses,
yes,
even wear hand gloves, and spray your food
that you're going to
eat with chemicals,
genetically modified organisms.
Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
You are putting poison on the food you are going to eat, and you don't think about it. And we have ministries of agriculture that are promoting that because Monsanto says so. That is the interference I'm talking about.
And we've gone an extra mile, by the way. Let me inform you about this. People nowadays, when they harvest tomatoes, they're ripe already, so they get some chemicals, they spray. It is whitish in color. Yeah. They spray on the tomatoes.
Yeah, so it comes with some kind of powder.
Yeah, such that they don't go bad. Yeah. They can last for like 2 weeks, you know. Yeah. But this is a perishable. Yeah. So you're spraying a perishable so that it cannot not to perish, you know.
With poison.
That is how far we've gone.
No, with poison. And my grandmother used to preserve tomatoes. All she would do is to put ash, the normal ash.
Yeah.
Down and turn the plugged part of the tomatoes upside, bury that part where you plug it from, bury it in the ash, and they stay for more than 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
So such information, such knowledge is nowhere now to
be because we have gone to school. If I did not grow up with my grandmother, how would I know?
It brings me to the issue of education, because when we want to be united, for example, we're taking Africa, now we are united. Africa as one body, one entity.
One state.
Yeah. Now we have our education. Which type of education are we going to have in this regard?
What is the essence of education?
Of course.
Why should we have education? Because we don't have any reason for having education, then we shouldn't have education.
No, we have a reason to.
Yeah, what is the reason for having education?
To have more knowledge.
Not more knowledge.
To acquire.
have knowledge, to acquire knowledge.
Yes.
Right? And I always told you that knowledge is a factor of production.
Yeah.
Are you getting the point?
Actually, it's the main. You told me it's the main.
It's the only factor of production.
Only factor of production,
actually.
yes. Yeah.
Because everything you see on this earth comes from people's thoughts, people's minds. Just because they know. This camera we see working today, somebody sat down, thought about it, learnt about the principles, and made it, and it's working.
Sure.
That is knowledge. But then, if we have a united Africa, number one, and we have an education system, our educational system should focus on dealing with our needs.
Our needs.
And aspirations.
As
We should
Africans.
not learn anything that has nothing to do with our needs and our aspirations. Our needs, number one, we need to know that Africa is not poor. And it must be taught in our African educational system.
That Africa is rich.
Wealthy. Africa has so much, too much of everything. In terms of resources, human beings, and the environment. We need to know that.
Yeah.
And if we don't teach it in our schools, nobody will know. We need to know about colonization. If there is any history that must be taught in Africa, in African education system, it should be on colonization. It should be on slavery. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
It should be our history. Not the King of England or any of that rubbish.
Yes.
Are we together? And I keep saying, and I've said it in a number of places, that the African educational system should be built on our traditional knowledge, acquisition systems. I hope you will agree with me. Then we can modernize it by formalizing it. Okay? First, it was totally non-formal.
Non-formal, totally non-formal.
Yeah.
But right now,
When you're growing up, they look at you, they say, the way you like playing. Your parents say, we can see that you are interested, you have this
you
talent,
have a talent in
this interest, and these abilities. 3 things only in human development. But in our schools, they don't consider them.
What is
in the
that?
current schools,
What are
talents, interests, and abilities.
Okay.
Those are the only 3 things you use if you want to develop anybody, because they are natural. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, today nobody considers that. Now, when your parents look at you growing up in a typical African environment, family, they say, you the way you like doing this and that and that. Go to that auntie of yours. When you are maybe 7 years, 8 years, go to 10 years, go to that auntie of yours who is a baker and learn how to
I learn how to bake.
bake.
Oh.
And you shift to your auntie's place completely. And she's not only going to teach you baking, she also trains you to become a responsible person in the community as you grow up. They say, you boy, go to that one who is a blacksmith. If your father is a farmer, those of you who love farming, you stay with him and become farmers. That is why we don't have youth unemployment in the typical African environments with our education system. Now, that kind of training is called apprenticeship, and that is our model. Are you getting the point?
Yeah, yes.
In an apprenticeship, it is 100% practical.
Practicals. Wow.
It comes first before any other explanations, theories, principles.
This business of spending 23 years in school.
Exactly.
The formal setting.
Exactly.
And then you're out, you have nothing to do.
Exactly.
You go look for a job, they ask for experience.
And unfortunately, nobody is talking about it. Parents are still pushing their children, they are going through. The vice chancellors are quiet. The governments are quiet. Everybody is quiet, as if it's not an issue. If these Kenyan people, the young people in Kenya, had employable skills,
Yes, yes.
they have knowledge that has value, they won't have time to go in the streets. Are you getting the point?
Yeah, yeah.
Most of them are there because they don't have what to do.
I saw,
And they must give their
and I
time
had
to-
people with degrees, masters,
Yeah,
PhDs.
exactly.
They're on the streets looking for jobs.
Yeah. Why should it be like that? Africa doesn't do that.
Mm.
But it is designed. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Because we are listening to other people.
Mm.
We have interference coming from outside. Our sovereignty is not there. The biggest challenge we have is that we are not sovereign.
So if our governments, for example, do not ban such type of education, the European type of education, what can a parent do who's seated home watching right now?
Look here. For me, if you ask me, I'll bluntly tell you that the education systems we have in Africa have failed us.
Yes.
Now, if they have failed us, why are we not talking about it? Why are parents not raising their voices to say we are paying so much money, but my first son has come out of university and is in the streets?
Where can I start
Then the
from?
second one is also going. I'm looking for money to push the third one. Please, Mr. Vice Chancellor, can you tell me exactly what you are teaching my children or our children? And they cannot use that knowledge to do
create jobs.
anything by themselves. I was having a conversation with somebody and I said, okay, we're looking at youth unemployment. Where is employment? Employment is either in government, which is limited.
Yeah.
You can't employ all the graduates. Then we have employment in the
Private sector.
Yeah, and in the public sector is government.
That's good. Yeah. Then we have the private sector.
Then we have the private sector. Now, the private sector has to do with mining, construction, agriculture, industry, all of that.
Yes.
Where do we have more opportunities for job creation or employment?
The private sector.
Why is entrepreneurship, ICT, agriculture, and commerce optional at the O level, ordinary level in the Ugandan education system?
I don't know. That is a setup.
No. The sciences and the technology and other things are needed mostly in the public sector for policy and to drive things. But real production is in the private sector.
Yes.
So why are we not teaching more of and the private sector is 10 times, 100 times larger than the public sector. It's larger by far than the public sector.
Yes.
Why are we not designing our education system to teach more about the opportunities for job creation, not job seeking, in the private sector?
Private sector.
Why not?
Wow. Wow. It looks as if you've said it all as per now. As we're concluding the show, what is your take? What is your word to the youths who are there right now? I know they've gone to school already, they've graduated.
Yeah.
There's no job. You
Yeah.
know, what can they do? What can they do?
But we were going to school to acquire knowledge, to come and look for a job.
Yeah.
That's a wrong start point. Whoever designed the education system, that people must go to school. And when they come out, they must go and look for. The person who created that job that you are going to seek, maybe doesn't have the degree you have.
Yes.
So you and him, that person, who is better placed?
Of course,
To
the
create
person
jobs.
who has a job already, who created a job.
No, you go through the whole continent, even the whole earth on earth. Go even to the world. The world is on the other side. You go to the world. Most of the people who have created jobs are not very well educated.
The school dropouts,
Yeah.
university
You know
dropout.
that. You know that.
Yes.
So it means that going to school is not a guarantee that you can create a job. And they don't train you actually to create a job.
So what can they do at this type of?
We just need to agree. Number one, agree first. Let's get our sovereignty back in place. And I encourage young African people, African leaders, parliamentarians, to go and read a page on sovereignty.
Wow.
Even you, go and read a page Because the only challenge we have as Africa is our sovereignty. It's compromised. We don't have it because we have so much interference. NGOs, World Bank, IMF, everybody's just gallivanting around here saying what they want. We don't need that.
Every African, every person who is watching this program today or tonight, go read a page on sovereignty. Thank you very much, Doctor.
You're welcome.
And thank you very much for being with us. And please, as we normally tell you or ask you or beg you, that please do comment, do share the information with a brother or a sister, because you never know whom you're helping. See you when you see us.